France had one of the oldest monarchies in the world, lasting 948 years. During nearly 10 centuries of existence, France had over 40 queen consorts from all over Europe. The most famous Queen of France would be the country's last. Her tenure as queen has been made famous by countless books, movies, and works of art. This is the story of Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette's birth name was Maria Antonia Josefa Johanna, and she was the 15th out of 16 children and the last daughter, born to Holy Roman Empress Maria Theresa and her husband, Francis I, Holy Roman Emperor. She was born on November 2, 1755 at the enchanting Hofburg Palace in Vienna. The young girl's birthday had fallen on the Catholic ritual of All Souls' Day, a time where people pray, give alms, and visit cemeteries. While her father held the title of emperor, Maria Theresa was the real person in charge of ruling the Holy Roman Empire, and she used her various children to secure political alliances through marriages with powerful European houses. Maria's childhood was happy and was filled with music, singing, and dancing. During the winter, sledding was part of Maria's childhood games at Schönbrunn Palace. When Maria was a little girl, a young Mozart came to perform for her family. There is a story surrounding their meeting, that when a young Mozart fell on the floor, Maria helped him up. The story says that a young Mozart proclaimed, "I will marry you." Maria did not do very well in academics, and at age 13 she was still not able to read or write very well, which shocked her mother. Like her elder sisters, Maria was used as a chess piece by her mother to secure alliances for her empire. In the 1760s, little Maria was chosen to be the bride for Louis Auguste, who was 1 year older than her. Due to her upcoming marriage, Maria's education needed to be improved. In 1768, a tutor was sent from France to help further Maria's education, but it did not go according to plan. The tutor, Matthew Jacques de Vermond, remarked that Maria was more intelligent than has been generally supposed, and then added, "She is rather lazy and extremely frivolous, she is hard to teach." To further prepare her for her future role as Queen of France, Maria had to wear braces for 3 months to correct her teeth. Her hairline also had to be fixed to hide her high forehead. On April 19, 1770, Maria and Louis were married in a proxy ceremony. A proxy wedding ceremony is when a stand-in takes the place of the real bride or groom before the actual wedding. A few weeks later, Maria traveled to France accompanied by 57 carriages, 117 footmen, and 376 horses. On May 16, 1770, Maria, now known as Marie Antoinette, married Louis Auguste in a lavish wedding ceremony at the Palace of Versailles. Marie Antoinette was just 14, her husband just 15. According to royal protocol of the time, Marie and Louis were escorted to their bedchamber by the court. The couple laid down beside each other and the court left the bedchamber. Nothing happened. The marriage would not be consummated for nearly a decade. Even though they did not marry for love, the pair were friendly towards each other but were complete opposites of each other. Louis enjoyed reading, locksmithing, and was an introvert. Marie enjoyed parties, playing card games, and was an extrovert. Life at Versailles was difficult for Marie Antoinette. Unlike the Austrian court, which was far more relaxed, the French court had extremely strict regulations. Everything the French royal family did was in the public eye, including getting dressed and eating meals. Marie, not used to having such a public life, said, "I put on my rouge and wash my hands in front of the whole world." On May 10, 1774, just a few days before the couple's 4th wedding anniversary, Louis XV of France, grandfather of the now King Louis XVI, died at the age of 64 after a reign of over 50 years. The 19-year-old Louis asked for God to help him, and that he was too young to rule. As the 1780s began, Marie began spending more time at the Petit Trianon, her private sanctuary from the overcrowded court life of Versailles. A place where she was able to relax and be herself with those she trusted most. The house was given to her as a gift by Louis XVI after he became king. Marie Antoinette wrote to her mother that after several long years, her marriage had finally been consummated after a visit from Marie's brother, Joseph, who helped urge marital relations. In 1778, Marie Antoinette gave birth to the couple's first child, a daughter named Marie Therese, shortly before Christmas on December 19. When the little girl was born, Marie Antoinette said, "Poor little one. You were not desired, but you will be none the less dear to me. A son would have belonged to the state, you will belong to me." The girl was titled Madame Royale at birth since she was the eldest living daughter of the French monarch. 3 more children would follow: Louis Joseph, born on October 22, 1781. Louis Charles was born on March 27, 1785. Sophie Helene was born on July 9, 1786, but died 1 month short of her first birthday. Usually, the births of royal heirs helped to launch the popularity of the queen consort, but this was not the case for Marie Antoinette. In her younger days, she was known to spend large sums of money at the gambling table and on clothes. She was not the only woman at court who did this, however. France and Austria were also old enemies, and many people at court did not trust the queen due to her Austrian roots. Various images showing the queen in often sexual acts were made to soil her reputation. Her reputation continued to sour after the affair of the diamond necklace scandal in 1785. A diamond necklace had been commissioned for Madame du Barry, mistress of Louis XV, but he died prior to the necklace's completion. The necklace was declined after it was offered to Louis XVI. A con artist known as the self-proclaimed Comtesse de la Motte forged letters pretending to be the queen and sent them to a man named Cardinal de Rohan, who wanted to be in the queen's good graces. La Motte suggested through her forged letters to the cardinal that he purchase the necklace for the queen. She then hired a prostitute to pretend to be the queen for an evening meeting with the cardinal. Everything that La Motte planned seemed to be going well, but her fraud was soon uncovered. The jewelers went directly to the queen for answers after the first installments for the necklace had not been properly paid. The queen had no idea about the necklace and did not know why the jewelers were coming to collect money from her. It soon came to light that the necklace had been destroyed, and the precious diamonds had been sold off in London. The cardinal was arrested, then tried, but was acquitted of all charges. La Motte was sentenced to be flogged, branded, and imprisoned for her scheme, but she escaped France and went to live in London. Although Marie had no involvement with the plot, her reputation still suffered. As the 1780s drew to a close, Marie's life and rumors about her got worse. Rumors spread that the Swedish Count, Axel von Fersen, was her lover. Her baby daughter, Sophie Helene, died aged just 11 months in June 1787. Her eldest son, Louis Joseph, died at the age of 7 from tuberculosis on June 4, 1789. The financial and political problems of France had been around long before Louis and Marie were born, and Louis XVI suffered a nervous breakdown due to the stress of his country falling apart. Poor harvests did not help morale. In July 1789, the Bastille was stormed and the French Revolution was swung into motion. In 1791, Louis and Marie tried to flee with their children to Austria, but Louis was recognized and the family was captured. In September 1792, the French monarchy came to an end after nearly 10 centuries of formal rule. Louis XVI was stripped of his title as king and him and his family were imprisoned. One of Marie's close friends, Marie-Therese Louise, was murdered by revolutionaries, and her head was paraded on a spike. Marie fainted after she learnt the news. On January 21, 1793, Louis XVI was executed. Marie's marriage to Louis of nearly 23 years had come to a bloody end. Despite their arranged marriage, the two did care for each other. Not long after the murder of the king, Marie's children were taken from her, and she never saw them again. There are stories that say that Louis Charles endured horrible abuse by his jailers and was treated in inhumane conditions. The boy died in June 1795, at the young age of 10. The now deposed Queen of France was later tried on October 14, 1793. She was given less than a day to prepare her defense, and she was accused of various crimes, and was falsely accused of incest. Disgusted at the revolutionaries for falsely accusing her of such a crime, Marie appealed to the mothers in the courtroom, who sympathized with the former queen. 2 days later, the deposed queen was sentenced to death on October 16. Before her death, Marie said, "I was a queen, and you took away my crown. A wife, and you killed my husband. A mother, and you took away my children. My blood alone remains. Take it, but do not make me suffer long." She wrote one final letter to her sister-in-law, Madame Elizabeth, where she expressed her love for her children, her Catholic faith, and how she was innocent. Marie also wrote how she would soon be meeting her husband Louis again. The letter never reached Elizabeth, and the will of the former queen became a part of Robespierre's collection. Dressed in a simple white gown, with her hair cut short, and her hands bound, the 37-year-old Marie Antoinette looked far older than her age. She was composed as she was taken to her place of execution. As she made her way to the scaffold, Marie stepped on the foot of the executioner. She told him, "Pardon me, sir, I did not mean it." A few minutes later at 12:15 p.m. on October 16, 1793, Marie Antoinette was executed. Her body was thrown into an unmarked grave and would not be properly buried until January 1815. Marie Tussaud was asked to make the death mask of the late queen, and at the famous wax museums bearing her name, tourists can see the real face of the queen and her husband. Maria Carolina, the Queen of Naples, was very close to her younger sister by 3 years, and she was absolutely heartbroken when she heard the news about her sister's murder, and her anger towards the revolutionaries grew. The only one of Marie and Louis's children that survived the Reign of Terror was their eldest daughter, Madame Royale. She was not told about the fate of her family members until 1795, when she was finally given her freedom, and the young girl cried in absolute despair. She would live to be 72, and had to deal with various con artists claiming to be her lost brother, Louis Charles. One can only imagine the heartbreak the poor girl suffered. In popular culture, Marie Antoinette has become a tragic figure. She has been immortalized in books, movies, museums, and even with a Barbie doll. The infamous line, "Let them eat cake," was never actually said by her. The phrase first came from a book by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, when Marie was only a girl of 10 years old. If Marie Antoinette and her family had escaped that fateful night, maybe the family could have lived a quiet life in Vienna. One can only wonder how different history would have been had the family survived the Reign of Terror. Thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy history or gaming content, please subscribe to Sweet History, a channel full of random facts and lots of sparkles. Do not forget to click the bell icon so you are notified whenever I release a new video. There is a Google poll in the description where viewers can vote on who they want to see as the subject of the next video. Thank you all again for watching. Until next time.